Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Pat's Travel Pass. Today, we're going to look at what it takes to visit all 30 MLB stadiums in 30 days. Now, I wanted to take a realistic approach at this, so here are some of the rules and assumptions I followed when trying to plan out all of my travel. Games are assumed to be 3 hours long. I can't arrive or depart within an hour and 45 minutes of the game starting or ending. Sister airports are okay, like in New York, LA, and San Francisco, for example. And lastly, no flights were on Southwest, and I prioritized flying using Google Flights for most of my searches. All flight prices are in economy, not basic economy, not premium economy, just regular economy. And additionally, for flights on Frontier, I added $40 to account for a carry-on or checked bag. I ended up picking June for this since it's the only summer month with 30 days without school involved. At least around us, school is out for all of June. I also want to be clear that this is just a fun exercise. There's a ton of different ways you could do this, visiting all 30 stadiums in 30 days. I just wanted to have a fun approach considering I have visited all of them, so hopefully you can enjoy that with me. Now let's go. And we're starting everything off in San Francisco with the Giants. June 1st, Saturday night game. New York Yankees are in town. What a way to start off the month. Additionally, if you want to have a fun little game within this video, try and guess where we're going next based on the time of the flight and the cost. For our second stadium, we're headed to Los Angeles to see the Dodgers. Colorado Rockies are in town. Nice 1 p.m. game on a Sunday. And we got a night flight right after this. Next up, we're headed to Denver on United to go see the Colorado Rockies host the Cincinnati Reds. 7 p.m. game on a Monday. Next, we're going to Houston, kind of working our way through the Midwest here. Houston Astros against the St. Louis Cardinals, 7 p.m. game on a Tuesday. Then we're making the short hop up to Dallas-Fort Worth to see the Rangers. I actually was lucky enough to go visit the new stadium last season during their World Series run. Texas Rangers got the Detroit Tigers in town, 7 p.m. game on a Wednesday. And then we have a Frontier flight out next morning up to Chicago to see the White Sox. Also visited them last year. Brutally hot day and humid, but as you can see, still a great day at the ballpark. Red Sox taking on their rival Other Sox, Boston, Thursday, 7 p.m. game. The following day, we're catching a flight over to Detroit, quick hop. Going to see the Brewers in town, Friday night game, 7 p.m. And the following morning, we'll be on Delta, making another short hop through this central area. I know I said Midwest earlier, really more like Southwest. This is more the Midwest. But we're going to the Reds, taking on the Cubs, Saturday afternoon game, and then making another quick hop right to St. Louis. We're just really checking off all these middle stadiums in one fell swoop, leaving us mostly with the coasts after this. Cardinals taking on the Rockies for a daytime game on a Sunday. Picture me here. This was actually our second stadium ever that we visited. One of the coldest games I've ever experienced. So at the Kansas City Royals, we are wrapping up our first third of all of the stadiums. So here's a look at where we're at. You can see here that United has really jumped out in front with 4 flights and almost 2,400 miles of flying already. Comment down below which airline you think is going to be the leader at the end of all of this. Moving on to our 11th stadium, we're making another quick hop up to Minneapolis to watch the Twins take on the Rockies for a Tuesday night game. We're then going to catch a morning flight on Delta over to Milwaukee. One of the coolest places you can visit in Milwaukee is the bobblehead capital of the world and the Hall of Fame. There are just aisles and aisles of different bobbleheads. It is so cool. But anyways, we're seeing the Blue Jays take on the Brewers. Wednesday day game. Should be a nice day. Then we're going over to the East Coast, from Milwaukee to Boston, the Green Monster. It doesn't do it justice, the pictures. I mean, it's one of those Mount Rushmore stadiums that you got to visit. But we're seeing the Phillies today, Thursday night game, middle of June. Then we're catching a short flight south to New York. I believe it was LaGuardia specifically. And we're going to see the Mets, new stadium in the last few years. Found a fun Southwest paint job at LaGuardia, as well as we actually took off over the stadium, so that was a cool view of it. Mets and Padres, two of the most disappointing teams from last season. Friday night baseball, curious to see who comes out on top for this one. Next, we're taking another short flight down to Baltimore, really checking off these East Coast cities finally. Seeing the Phillies take on the Orioles, nice Saturday afternoon game. And you can see there the next train is actually Amtrak, so I wasn't able to find any flights to Washington, D.C., so we're taking Amtrak for $5 down to the new National Stadium that I was lucky enough to visit. Nationals taking on an East rival in the Miami Marlins, Sunday day baseball. We're then going to hop on United for a night flight backwards to O'Hare, and we're going to see the Cubs play. I believe it's the Giants. Yeah, the Giants for Monday night baseball. Now this is where it really got interesting in my scheduling, because I did a lot of the Central, did a lot of the East, and now I wanted to minimize the hopping around. So we got the Pirates against the Reds, Tuesday night baseball. We're then going to catch a morning flight down south to Miami without touching the two Florida teams so far. We got to do them at some point. Cool museum piece here with a bunch of bobbleheads. And here's a picture of me at the old Miami Stadium. It's actually the Dolphins Stadium. But we're seeing the Cardinals take on the Marlins. Wednesday, 1 p.m. game. Next, we're taking a flight up to Cleveland, and we're seeing the Mariners play the Guardians for Thursday day baseball. Additionally, this is our second third. You can see the total numbers for flights and miles flown down below. Comment if you were guessing correctly for who would be leading that after 20 stadiums. Next, we're taking a flight from Cleveland over to New York to see the Yankees. Now, this is one of the most anticipated games that I have on here. Braves and Yankees could be a World Series preview. Friday night baseball, and then we're headed back west all the way to San Francisco to catch an A's game. Could be the last one that we ever see before they move. No direct flights to Oakland that I really wanted to take, so just went to SFO using that sister rule that I mentioned earlier. We're then flying to San Diego to see the Brewers take on the Padres, Sunday, 1 p.m. start. And you can see here it's an interesting flight. I think you actually have to fly up to San Francisco to go back to Santa Ana. It could take a train. But we're seeing the Angels take on the A's again, so we're just seeing the A's like a few days ago, and now we're getting them again. Monday night baseball. Stadium number 24 on the list. And now we're really checking off these West Coast cities, going over to Arizona for the Diamondbacks to take on the Twins for Tuesday night baseball. And then this is the only red eye of the entire exercise that I've had to use, and it's headed back east to Tampa Bay. This was, I think, the third stadium that we ever visited. It is definitely on the Mount Rushmore of stadiums to not visit if I had one. Wednesday, 1 p.m. start against the Mariners. And then we're going to play cleanup, starting with the Phillies for Thursday night baseball against the Marlins, another East Division matchup, 27th Stadium. Next, we're taking a flight down to Atlanta to see the new Braves Stadium. Visited Turner Field back in the day. Their new stadium is much better, with plenty of amenity areas outside the outfield that you got to go check out. Friday night baseball against the Pirates, 28th Stadium. And now we only have two left. Comment down below if you know which one's the last one. Second to last, Toronto Blue Jays. We're seeing the Yankees again for Saturday afternoon baseball. And then for our 30th stadium, we're catching an Air Canada flight west. Yes, you got it, Seattle. The last one, the most traveled team in the entire MLB is the Seattle Mariners because they're at least an hour and a half flight from anyone. After seeing Seattle and the Twins play, we're flying back home to San Francisco. Now here's an overview of our 30 days of travel. We saw 17 night games, 3 afternoon games, and 10 1 o'clock games. Those are just generalizations. Some of the times are much more specific than that. We saw the Yankees, Twins, and Rockies all on the road 3 times. We traveled 20,000 total miles. And Delta, we flew on 5,500 miles with American Airlines, 7 different flights. Now, drum roll please, the total cost of all of the travel, the ticket cost, the Ubers, the meals, the flights, the hotels, for one person is $18,000 roughly. Now, I assumed the same amount of cost for the tickets, the transportation, the meals, and the hotel. But the flight, I looked up individual flights to make sure that they would work with our itinerary and got the right price. But everything else I assumed to be about the same every day. And you can see here, I doubled up on the flight, the meal, the ticket cost in order to calculate how much it would be for 2, which is about $27,000. So for 2, it is about $1,000 per stadium or per day, whichever you want to go with, since it's 30 and 30. Still a very cool exercise. I personally thought it would be a little bit less, but I think with some of the assumptions of hotel, meal, and Uber cost, you could get those down if you used more public transit or stayed at lower end hotels. Here's a look at my master Excel that I used to come up with the schedule as well as all the costs. On the far right, you can see all the individual assumptions I made, like for hotel at $250 a night, and meals per day per person at $60, Ubers at $50, and then the price of the actual game ticket, I put at $75, thinking you could go either way. If you want to sit closer, it'll be a little bit more. If you want to sit farther back, maybe a little bit cheaper. As well as on the left side, all of the different home stadiums, plus their visitors, the game times, and then all the flights. Thanks everyone for watching. Again, please comment down below if this is something that you're more interested in from a content perspective, or if you'd rather see more of the plane, train, hotel, cruise reviews. Anything helps in terms of input. So thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.